mom came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, but I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucs winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Aaron Rodgers and his people were like, they listened to our episode and they said, hold our cheesehead or coat.
Donovan Mitchell, who right now looks to be a superstar.
Just amazing. And I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Yeah, that's not just the Chiefs. That's Andy Reid. He knows the defenses so well because he's such a great offensive mind. That
well, you said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not gonna bet against Aaron Rodgers.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life.
Just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up, and when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets. Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's two of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year, and they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to the Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. We're about a month out from playoffs, so we're going to talk about the fluidity, the play-in, because, of course, now only 4 teams missed the playoffs entirely. Correct, Austin, with the play-in? Because they're
5.
5?
Because 15 teams in each conference, only 10 make the playoffs if you include the play-in as the playoffs.
Okay, so 5 miss.
Yep.
Okay. So, I guess it makes it more exciting, but it's just like anyone can win. So, let's start with the East. And the 10th seed is the Hawks versus Atlanta, which just happened as we're recording this last night, and the Hornets won. And I think that's an intriguing matchup. If that were supposed to happen, I think Charlotte would probably win, and they'd take the 9 seed, and then they'd battle the 8 seed.
I can see that happening.
Do you see? I know the Wizards are the next up. Do you think they can? They're about trying to see how many games back they
4.5.
4.5.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we can, mainly because we're getting used to the feel of having KP on the team, and it takes time to adjust to a new player, especially as different than what we had before.
Yeah, is he playing? I know he played
Yeah,
one
he's playing
against
well.
the Pacers. Okay, he's playing? Okay, that's my bad. I hadn't been paying much attention. The Knicks, I don't know if they can make it back. They're about 5 games out. So, I think it's pretty much set with like the Hawks at the 10 seed.
I agree.
So, and then we got the Hornets, and then the thing that interests me the most in the East is the Brooklyn and Toronto. Like Brooklyn's an 8 seed, and like given how high the expectations are with Brooklyn, them being an 8 seed, the lowest them being, they could make the plan, but I think if they made the plan and they have everyone, that they could go on a tear. Do you agree?
That's true, but that game against the 9 seed would be at home, and I don't think Kyrie would be able to play. I believe the Raptors will pass the Cavs. They're currently tied in the record, 39-30 for both. Cavs have dealt with a lot of injuries. The Raptors are relatively hot when their last 5, and so I think that Raptors are eventually safe. But I do think the 7 and 8 seed, whoever they are in the East heading into the playoffs, both make it. I'd be surprised if Charlotte, Atlanta, or any other team makes it.
Okay. And Toronto has a lead on Brooklyn. They're about 3.5 games back from the 7 seed. But then, like you said, Cleveland and Toronto are tied.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's going to be an interesting end to the season.
Yeah, and now we move into the 6. We got Bucks are currently a 7 seed, or they're 2 seed. Sorry, 6, and then 5, and then 4. Boston was on a tear until they met the Mavs. Do you think? I feel the Cavaliers are going to fall. I don't see them going up because they're still. Colin Sexton is out for the season, right?
Yeah, but he's not been too much of a catalyst for them. They just have had middling injuries the entire year. And like I said before, I agree. The Cavs will probably fall to the 7th seed. I don't know if Brooklyn can overtake them. They're a very inconsistent team. And then 5 is Bulls. I think the Bulls are safe. Celtics safe. 76ers safe. Bucks safe. And Heat safe.
Okay, so you don't see much change happening in the top order.
No, the only thing I think that would happen is Cleveland falling below Toronto.
Okay. Are there any teams that worry you in the playoffs?
Worry meaning go far when they're not supposed to,
or not go far when you think they would go far?
probably Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn could lose in the first round to the Heat. That'd be a tough matchup. But also, if Kyrie's allowed to play at home, I'd probably take the Nets because of their ability to score. And the Heat can get cold from the field sometimes. And Kyle Lowry's been in and out of the lineup inconsistently. And while the Heat are a very good team, I don't think they're the best team in the East.
Okay. I am a little bit worried about the Heat. I'm also a little bit worried about the Bulls. I saw a stat that said when they play a team with a better record than them, they're 2-16. So that worried me a little bit when
Yeah,
in the
that'd be
playoffs.
worrying for me too.
Yeah, and it's like a team that's all together. Like they just got put together, even though they do have some great players. I'm not sure how it would fit. I'm worried about Philadelphia. I'm wondering what happens because you have Harden and Embiid. It's just they are carrying the load, which is what you wanted. But I think Cleveland would probably not go far in the playoffs, just given how young they are.
Depends on who they face. Depends on injuries. Depends on a lot of stuff. It'll be this first series for a lot of the guys that play on the Cavs, so we don't know how they're going to adjust to that format. But I would agree, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavs make a run.
Okay. Now let's go to the West, where I think everything's really open except the 1 seed because the Suns, unless the Suns, I believe, are they're the 2nd seed Memphis Grizzlies are 8 games back.
Yep.
And the Suns already got the playoff. They already secured a playoff spot, and this is all without Chris Paul.
They're the team to beat in the West, and while I don't think they're eventually going to win it, they're a formidable opponent, and they are gaining experience with Ayton, Booker. I really like their bench. They're going to be a hard team to beat come April.
Yeah, and now we go into the play-in for the tournament. The 10 seed is the Pelicans versus it would be against the Lakers. Pelicans destroyed the Lakers when they played, and another stat that I learned is the Lakers are 0-9 since the All-Star break, and the only ones they have is when LeBron goes for 50
You mean
points.
they're 2-9?
2-9. That makes
Yeah, you said they were 0-9.
Well, yeah, they were 0-9 except when LeBron 2-9 is a much better way to phrase it.
Yeah, they're 2-9, but both wins are with LeBron scores 50.
Yes, that's a better way to say it. I don't know where I was going with that, but and like even if the Lakers like get healthy, like Anthony Davis and Russ figures out some stuff, I'm really not worried about them because LeBron has to go off for them to win games, and I just don't know if he could at this time in his career or at this moment. I don't know if he could go all the way and do that every single night.
Yeah, I think the Lakers will win whatever 10 seed they play, whether it's the current Pelicans, Spurs, Trailblazers. I think they'll win that game and then get throttled the next game against either the Clippers or the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are close enough to the 6th seed to where if the Nuggets, Mavs, or Jazz fall enough, they're only 3 games back or less than those teams. So They got to stay hot. Minnesota's won 9 of their last 10. I am really high on Minnesota. I just don't know how their experience is going to come to play when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, Cat went for 60, 32 in third quarter, correct?
Yes.
That's incredible. So now they make the playoffs. But I'm worried about LA Clippers. I'm worried about them as an 8 seed because if they're doing this without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and there's a possibility of Kawhi and Paul George joining before the playoffs start or right as the playoffs start, and that would scare me. And given where the Mavs are, I think there could be a possible matchup, which scares me.
That's true. I predicted that at the beginning of the season that
Yeah.
Dallas wins the first round and then loses to the Clippers in the second round. That'd be interesting if the Mavs got the 5 seed and then the Clippers upset the Suns and then the Mavs lost to the Clippers. That would be kind of crazy.
Yeah. So we mentioned you said Timberwolves could possibly go into the 6. Does that mean you think Denver falls into the 7?
No, I'd probably say Jazz.
Jazz? Oh, okay.
Denver's getting Jamal Murray and MPJ back, so I'm confident that the Denver Nuggets are going to get hotter as the season goes along.
Yeah, I feel once they get either Jamal Murray probably be a bigger impact than MPJ because of him and Jokic, but I feel they can just skyrocket. I don't think they'll get the 1 seed, but I think they'll definitely get up from the 6 seed. So I also think the Jazz could fall. It just have to be a terrible fall. I don't know if I see the Mavs moving up or down. I think they kind of just stay at that 5th seed.
The stretch between the Warriors or even the 2 through 7 line, a lot of those teams are hot besides the Warriors. So all those teams are going to have to stay relatively hot or risk losing their spot. I could see a lot of potential matchups first round, but I don't really know. I'm kind of stumped because a lot of teams could go cold whenever you don't expect it.
Yeah, and it definitely has a lot more mobility in the West compared to the East, or what we're predicting. And to me, each matchup, depending on what happens in the first round, to me that affects how far a team could go. Like I think maybe the Mavs, if they're playing at the level they are now, they could win a first round series, but it's not going to be a win if they face the Nuggets.
That'd be a terrible matchup for them.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. And then same thing with like Memphis. I think Memphis versus Minnesota would be a nice one, but what happens if that 7 seeds the Clippers? What do you think?
It depends on who's healthy. There's a lot of variables. The NBA is very unpredictable this year. But yeah, I don't know. If the Clippers are in that spot, I would see a possibility of Paul George or Kawhi coming back and being a menace. But again, I don't really know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, and then the Warriors, they could also fall because Curry's out indefinitely with
He'll be out
Like
3 to 4 weeks. He should be back by
4 weeks.
playoff time, but I don't think he'll
Okay.
play before playoff time unless he plays like a game or so to get him back in the mojo.
Well, yeah, and even though Clay did go off, and just how awesome was that? Clay going off for 37, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how'd you feel about that? Because I know you're a huge Clay fan.
Well, it's good seeing him back in action. I love watching shooters shoot, and he's definitely a shooter.
Yeah. So, one pretty much set in the West. Everything else could change, and that dramatically affects the playoff outcome. I could maybe see Memphis falling out early just because they're a young team, but they could also go far.
They made the playoffs last year and won 1 game against the Jazz, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the Jazz
remember
got
that.
the 1 seed. Yeah. So they have some experience. Steven Adams has been on some long OKC Thunder runs. I don't think they're a first round out unless they face the Clippers.
Yeah. Yeah, if they face Clippers. And then Minnesota just they could be the Cardinals, go on a run, win. No, they not win the playoffs, but they could win the playoffs just to mess with me.
true.
So
A lot of teams are doing it out of spite.
yeah, out of spite. Think Cat hears me or listens to me talking about the 3-point shot, and it just throws 60, scores 60. Part of his hype music.
You're just a year off with a lot of these predictions, or a couple weeks off.
Yeah, maybe a few years. Like, what did I have? Didn't I have Knicks? I don't know. There's something when I'm like, oh, they're really bad, or I thought they were gonna. I know that was Memphis, but I thought there was something else. Maybe that's a different sport.
I can't remember.
I don't know. We'll see. But let us know what you thought of this little month, 1 month primer for the NBA, and we'll talk some more basketball. We have talked some more basketball, but it's college basketball with a special guest. No, it's a long one, but it's very fun. A lot of sports arguments, a lot of quips, quick quips. No, that's repetitive, right? A quip is quick, right?
Normally, yeah. I think that's what equip means.
Yeah. So quick quip doesn't make sense. My brain is just fried. So, thank you for listening, and be on the lookout for more episodes from Outsiders Opinions.